WarioWare Get It Together is releasing tomorrow, which is very soon. It's going to be very exciting to play through the dozens of microgames that Nintendo tosses at us this time, since pretty much they're all brand new games. Well, today we have video footage of every single Nintendo-themed microgame that's in WarioWare Get It Together, thanks to GameXplain. So if you want to check out the full video that they posted, you can check it out in the link in the description. But today we are piecing apart that video and looking at all of the games that Nintendo had to offer based on their Nintendo properties and ranking them 1 out of the 23 possible outcomes. So before we get into our top 23 list, make sure that you are subscribed and like the video if you enjoy it. It really helps out a lot, and feel free to join the official Nintendo Land Discord. We have all types of games going on in there that you can play live with me and with the rest of the community and even compete for rewards. So make sure that you look in the description for that and feel free to join the Discord today. We are very close to a certain goal of ours, so make sure that you jump in and be a part of the fun. It's free. Coming in at number 23, we have Ele-Conga Autoplayer. I'm really not sure what any of this is, and it's probably referencing some type of old hardware type of thing, but it's just weird. You just spin the handle in order to get the, crowd to dance and everybody to play their musical instruments and stuff, and it's just not really that cool of a minigame when you look at all the Nintendo-themed minigames that come. This one's just kind of spinning the handle over and over and over again until the music continues to play. Nothing really special here, and this one just didn't really resonate with me. Number 22 is Game & Watch Judge. Now this time, you're just picking the highest number between the two Game & Watches, and it's your job to either count dots to pick the number or do math sometimes in order to find out which number is higher. It's very simplistic and very easy, and all you're doing is picking the highest number. That's all. Number 21 is Destiny board game. This one's actually very easy as well, but it's kind of fun, and it's starting to get to the point where we're now getting some interesting games. This one you have to land on the right space by hitting the certain number that you need to move. If you do more or less, you're not going to get to the space that you need to be at, and you're not going to reach the goal the correct way. It's a fun little game, and I actually thought it was going to be pretty cool. Number 20, I chose Animal Crossing Deliver the Present. Now, it's really cool that Animal Crossing is in here, but I felt like they could have done something a little bit better than what they did. Instead, you're just popping a balloon that's traveling back and forth, and you have to make it land on the right side, which really isn't that difficult whatsoever. I mean, the gap is just nowhere near the balloon half of the time, and you're probably going to get this relatively easily. Number 19, we have Pikmin 2 Harvest Pellets. It's your job to go back and forth, pretty much just tapping and harvesting the pellets in order for the Pikmin to take them up and back to their onion to produce more Pikmin. It's pretty easy, and you have to do them in order to do them very fast, but it's really not that difficult looking, and it looks like it's going to be kind of fun and something that's kind of mindless. I'm just glad that the best Pikmin game is represented here. Number 18, you are tasked with killing Bowser from Super Mario Bros. And this could be extremely easy or extremely difficult, really depending on who you have as your character. If someone flies, you can easily reach the axe, but if someone also has a projectile that they can shoot like Ashley, you can just kind of kill Bowser by shooting him just like you can in the original games. I'm glad that you have all these different options, which makes this really cool, but any other character that just jumps or moves left to right might have a difficult time with this boss battle. Number 17, we have the Nintendo Badge Arcade Don't Get Caught. Now this was a cool little free game that you could play on your DS for a while, where you could get cool badges to put on your kind of home screen and wallpaper, and that was really cool. But the purpose of this is to just not get caught by the crane. You can also knock the badges down in the arcade machine in order for them to be collected, and it's even cool because your death animation will be down in the arcade machine with the badges that you collected as well. Number 16, we have Super Mario Land Get the Item. This one's very simple. You just go throughout the level and hit the question block. It's very simple question blocks too. None of them are hidden that well or that hard to get, but the last item is a star that you have to actually chase down and chase to get, but it's actually a pretty cool recreation of Mario Land, and I think it was a pretty decent minigame. Number 15, we have Yoshi's Story, Collect the Eggs. Now this is actually interesting because depending on the difficulty, whether it's the easy one, the medium one, or the hard one, you're going to have different methods of collecting the eggs. First, you'll just start off by jumping on clouds, collecting eggs that are laying still, then eventually you'll have to hit egg blocks in order to get the number of eggs required, which is actually a pretty neat touch. Number 14, you have Captain Toad, Create a Path. All you're doing is raising or lowering a certain platform in order for Toad or Toadette to make their way to the Power Star. and if you pick the wrong platform to raise or lower, you automatically lose. It's a very smart thinking game where you have to stop and think before you act, and it's a fun reference to Captain Toad, of course. Number 13, I chose Ice Climbers, and I'm sure if you played a WarioWare game ever, you'll know that Ice Climbers has been in it almost every single time. But this time, it's a little bit more, unique with how they approach it. Instead of just simply jumping up, you actually got to maneuver your way through an obstacle course / maze in order to get your way to the top of the mountain, which is a lot more difficult, and it's going to be very interesting to do with tons of the other characters. Number 12, Devil World Survive the Maze is very similar to that of Ice Climbers. Instead, the screen is actually moving on you, and you have to finish the maze very quick, or at least stay alive in the maze as quickly as you can. And this can be very difficult depending on what character you have also, and it just looks like a more intense version of what Ice Climbers was. I like it. Number 11, I chose WarioWare Game Systems, putting the right game in. You'll be getting a series of different game systems, and you have to put in the cartridge or the disc the right way, and you get to see a nice little intro of the actual game console starting up. You have WarioWare Inc. for the Game Boy Advance and the Nintendo GameCube, and you have WarioWare Touched for the Nintendo DS. Now we are to our top 10, and I chose at number 10, Big Brain Academy Make the Shape. And lots of you guys might wonder why I chose this one. Well, this one requires lots of thinking, and it's not just a simple, brainless mini game that you can pretty much pass every single time. You have to seriously sit and consider what shapes you have, and especially when you're on the hard round, you really have to look at the pieces that's given to you, because you can be deceived, and it might look incredibly easy until you realize, nope, that's not the shapes that I needed. Number 9, we have New Super Mario Bros. U, Get the Coins. Now, it's just something about this art style and the 3D aspect of this in a micro game is really good. We don't get a lot of 3D micro games all the time from Nintendo through WarioWare games, and the fact that we got a lot of them in this game just makes me happy. And this is one that looks really, really good. And the fact that you can actually take damage from the fuzzies makes this even more interesting. Next, we have another 3D rendered game being Get the Enemies from Donkey Kong Country Returns. It's your job to go around getting either the flying tiki enemies or the ones on the ground such as the frogs and the spiders, and you really just bump into them. That's why it's not higher on this list if there was a unique way to kill them, but instead you kind of just hit them with whatever you have and they will die. There's no way to actually take damage from them, and you just kind of hit them, and it's actually cool to see the different environments that spawn with the different level difficulties, and it's just a really cool looking mini game. Not to mention that Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong come in the victory animation, but also the music changes with each level theme. Number 7 is the boss stage from this pack of micro games. It's just seriously Super Mario World levels that are kind of recreated in a Mario Maker style, where they kind of redesign your own Mario World levels, I guess. You have 3 different versions of this: the regular stage, a jungle themed stage, and also a boss castle themed stage. None of them have bosses or anything, you just kind of got to get to the goal, but everything works the way Super Mario World would. The P switches, the item power-ups, everything, it just kind of feels like it's a, drag and paste of a Mario World created in Mario Maker. So it's not that clever, and for that reason I can't give it a higher ranking, but it is a fun thing to play nevertheless. Number 6 is Super Metroid Help Samus Escape. Now, Samus is in her Morph Ball form, and you have to help drop her down and place her by one of the doors. And once again, it's a very strategic type of micro game where you have to break blocks in the right way in order to get Samus to move in a certain direction. And you can help move her and push her as well, but if you break the wrong block or trap her, you're kind of stuck, and you lose the minigame. So you have to really stop and think before you act, and it's a fun little Super Metroid game with a great looking art style. Number 5, we have Splatoon 2, Who Won? Thanks to Judd and Little Judd, this is a very simplistic game, but it shows you that simple games can be some of the best. I actually would do this in my head when playing Splatoon 1 and 2, and I would try to think sometimes who won and try to predict before they even said it, and sometimes it was very hard to tell, and the fact that they made a micro game out of this just shows that the developers had the same idea as I, and this is really cool. I love because sometimes it's very difficult to tell as the two sides look very, very similar, and this could be a a really good fun game to play, especially if the stages are switched up and the ink is switched up from time to time. Number 4, I picked Breath of the Wild Stasis Launch. Now it's your job just to bang on the object, whether it's a crate, a box, or a boulder, in order to completely max out its stasis ability and shoot it into the background and for an explosion. It's just cool to see the map of Breath of the Wild in the background and Link just standing there cheering you on. It's a really cool mini game, and I'm surprised they did all this for a microgame of Breath of the Wild, but of course, Breath of the Wild had to be included, and they did a great job. Number 3, I chose Tea Time from Fire Emblem Three Houses. It's your job to entertain the different Three Houses members by either spelling something correctly or doing what the task requires. Sometimes it'll ask you to praise them / compliment them, or be mean to them, or confess feelings, and you have to do exactly the way it tells you to. And sometimes you have to sit and think, but also sometimes things are just misspelled, and you have to make sure that you spell them correctly or you'll lose. As someone that's not a big fan of Fire Emblem, this is actually a pretty cool microgame, I must admit. Number 2, we have Luigi's Mansion Find the Ghost. Now, it actually surprises me completely that they chose the original Luigi's Mansion with this and not Luigi's Mansion 3, because they've been choosing, modern games with Breath of the Wild and Fire Emblem Three Houses, which also surprises me why Mario Odyssey isn't in here. But I'm glad that they chose this because I love the original Luigi's Mansion. It's still probably my favorite Luigi's Mansion, and I love the fact that you actually got to go find these ghosts as they fly into the room and hide in these different objects, and you have to break through the objects in order to find them, and sometimes it could be up to 3 different ghosts that you have to look for. It's actually really cool, and in the art style and everything is completely ripped from Luigi's Mansion 1, and I love it. And coming in at number 1 is the WarioWare Twisted Microgame Collection. Now, you will be playing with the Game Boy Advance and pretty much just turning it back and forth and in different ways, but you get to actually play through 5 legit microgames that were in WarioWare Twisted. This is one of my favorite WarioWare games, and I remember this so much as a kid, and I remember each and every one of these mini games, but like I said, you get 5 of them that are from the actual original game. And they don't all just require you turning the Game Boy Advance and just spinning it in one direction. You actually have to kind of strategically move things in order to drop things out of a bin or flip a guy upside down perfectly for his hat to fall off. There's some really cool things that they've done here, and I absolutely love this micro game. But those are my top 23 Nintendo-themed micro games from WarioWare Get It Together. Let me know in the comments down below what you like the most, and if you agree kind of with my list or not, let me know all your opinions down below. This looks like a really cool Nintendo collection of micro games, and one of the best that I've seen yet. I am very excited to get my hands on these and actually play them for myself, which already comes out just tomorrow, so I cannot wait. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Nintendo, and also remember to join the Discord, link in the description down below. Thank you so much for tuning in, and like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See ya, guys.